Welcome everyone to the series. And you're like, what series, Sharon? What are you talking about? The Caring for Caregivers series. And for those of you who do not know me, I am Sharon D. Brown. I am the founder of Self Care You Academy. And with Self Care You Academy, I help entrepreneurs, executives, and those who are over employee well-being to help those individuals to sustain their sanity, to thrive under pressure, and to supercharge their self-care. Because those who have a calling to serve others, a lot of times you end up not serving yourself. And so with this month is Family Caregiving Awareness Month. And so we are highlighting caregivers. Some of you may presently be in that role, and some of you had been in that role, like myself. And so when it comes to being a caregiver, you can be a caregiver for a loved one. It can be your parents or your grandparents. It can be a spouse. It can be a adult child who's in need. I like to say it like that, or let's just say a child in need, regardless of their age. And for those of you who has transitioned from or who are in the middle of being a caregiver, you know how tough it is. We don't always talk about that. And for whatever reason in our society, sometimes it may seem like that there's supposed to be some shame or guilt if you express how hard it is and what it is that you're dealing with. And we're not having none of that over here, because with Self Care You Academy, one of the things that we do is we focus on you. We help you to focus on you. We remind you to focus on you, because I cannot be a caregiver, whether it's a primary, secondary, wherever you are. We cannot show up if we don't show up for ourselves, because it is known that when it comes to being a caregiver, they say 66% of caregivers end up burning out, having a breakdown, or even their well-being is at stake, either mentally or physically. And some even end up passing away because of everything that they're dealing with. So we're highlighting that. And I do want to thank Caregivers Action Network, who pretty much have founded, who is sponsoring the National Family Caregiving Month, because there is not enough appreciation and gratitude and thankfulness that goes towards them, because of the fact sometimes it may seem like a lonely road. Resources are out there, but sometimes resources can be limited too. So in this particular series for today, what I'm going to do is I am going to share with you what got me through. Now, I do want to say as a caveat, with some of the things that did get me through, some of them were intentional and some of them happenstance. But even with the happenstance, when I look back at it, hindsight 2020, like, wow, that really did help me. So I am going to share with you four aspects, four things, four activities, four insight that really got me through, and it can help you too. And even if you are not a caregiver, but if you are someone, a family, a friend who wants to know how to support a caregiver, this is for you too. And if you are someone who helps to support a caregiver, this is for you. And especially for entrepreneurs who's a caregiver, especially for executives who are a caregiver, and for those of you who are over employee well-being, because when it comes to your employees, a lot of them are caregivers. Some you may know, some you may not. But if anything, so that you'll know how you can support them. And so when it comes to taking care of yourself, let's see. I'm going to pick up from where we were yesterday. Because right now in the series, we're talking about different things that have helped me to get through of when it came to my parents' medical challenges and even medical mayhem. And so a piece of advice that I will give, that I've learned, that I would give to other caregivers, and I do have to say I've used some of it, but not to the extent. One valuable piece of asset that you can do is to get yourself involved in community care, especially for caregivers, because it is unique. Some of the others may be very general, or some of the others may be more so for the person that you're caring for, even though that is important too, because it does help offload. I don't think you need to do it alone, okay? We want to reframe that. It doesn't mean you don't love and don't care, and if there's anyone out there that are making someone feel that way, stop it. Individuals who are a caregiver, they need all the support that they can. They don't need to be feeling guilty or anything because they're reaching out, because they're looking for some type of relief. And so with the community care, one type of community care is an organization, whether it's profit or nonprofit, but an organization that specializes in caregivers, in supporting caregivers. I do remember I came across an organization that is one of the caregiving, it could be like Caregiving Magazine, Caregiving something, I can't remember, because there's two organizations that have very similar names, and pretty much they have very similar missions as well. And I remember coming across them, and pretty much it was two things going on with me at that particular time. One, I was like going at 100, so I kind of felt like I couldn't completely stop and even to read the information. So what that means is, if you are a friend or a relative or even a co-worker or even someone who provides services in some kind of form, in that sometimes you may need to give people the cliff notes, because believe me, sometimes they really don't. Sometimes I'm going to say it feels that way, so that's why it's important to take 5. But I felt that way because there was so much that was going on. I felt like at the time my job was really busy, so stress coming over that way. Again, at different times when it came to my parents' medical challenges and medical mayhems, and that sometimes sometimes you feel like you're going 100 and then you're running on empty. In my mind, I felt like I was fine, but I felt it in my body, just that tense, the stress of what they're going through, and then me as well. And so being in community, finding a community can really be helpful. And there's different types of community as well. There's community that's going to give you information. There's community that's going to provide you with some type of support. Community where maybe you can do something fun, where you can get out the house, and so community care is really important. Like I said, even though I didn't use it at the time, I did come across and say, oh, this is really good. And I think I probably meant to come back to it, but just didn't. So what that means is, in the beginning, write it down now, community care, and identify 3 organizations that may be helpful. Once you realize, oh, you know what, I'm taking care of my parents, and there'll be another conversation regarding of what that means, because sometimes you can be a caregiver and not even realize that you're a caregiver, or you can be a caregiver and really not completely admit. Because I was like that too, because it's more, for me, it was more like, yeah, I'm doing these things, for my parents, of course, you know. So again, community care is really important. Now, when it comes to a ritual or activity that has become non-negotiable part, not only my week, but also my day, is taking a breath. And that's part of the Take 5, my signature, pretty much is my signature framework when it comes to taking care of yourself. It's Take 5 to Thrive Wellness Boosters. And if you're able to take 5 minutes throughout the day to just sit, because you have so much coming to you that it is draining you. And it's really important to offset some of that stress. It's hard to understand sometimes, but believe me, your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul needs it. But I definitely know that was something that had really helped me. And I knew that at the time. Like I said, the community care was afterwards. But when it comes to taking 5, I might have didn't call it Take 5 at that particular time, but that's what it was. So find time throughout the day, let's say between 9 and 11, put it on your calendar, when are you going to take 5? Between 12 and 2, put it on your calendar, when are you going to take 5? Between 3 and 5, put it on your calendar or where you're going to take 5. Now, if you're working 9 to 5, or depends on what's going on, if you can't really take 5 minutes, take 5 moments, take 5 breaths to take 5. Because taking 5 helps you to stay alive in a healthy way. We want you to be healthy as entrepreneurs, as executives, as individuals who are over employee well-being. You have so much coming towards you, but we want you to be healthy as a caregiver. Because if you're not healthy, then that cycle continues. And we're in a role in which we're saying those cycles are going to stop with us. So that means for us to be able to do something. And I realize that it is not easy, but it is something that is achievable. The one thing that I had discovered about myself through the caregiving journey that I didn't know before, I thought I knew. I've always considered myself to be a patient person, and which I am, until I'm not. But at least I'm going to say internally, like on the outside, you might have seen me tense up a little bit, but for the most part, you really don't know what's going on. But one thing that I can say, because my mom has showed up different, and so there was different things about her, because she wasn't completely the same mom, even though she was competent and everything else in a different way, but her patience had decreased. And then I want to say demands had increased. especially when they come around eating, because her blood sugar, whew, that's a different story. So what caregiving had taught me, it taught me another level of being patient. That's what it taught me. Another level of being patient that, of course, is beneficial. And so what about you? What has being a caregiver, whether it's a past or you're presently a caregiver, what has it taught you? You know, we're hearing, even though there have been other individuals before, Emma, I forget her complete name, but we know, Bruce Willis' wife. Of course, there are individuals who were before her, but we hear her loud and clear. And I'm glad that she is, definitely out there advocating for caregivers, but also sharing her story as well. Money or not, people still go through things. The dynamics, the characteristics are really the same. So I'm really glad that she's able to do that. But I want to know about you, the entrepreneurs who are caregivers, the executives who are caregivers, and then even for those who either oversee employee well-beings who are caregivers, or you oversee them, but you're a caregiver yourself. What have you learned about yourself through this caregiving journey? And lastly, how did I balance my role as a caregiver and maintain my identity and personal passions? That one is a good one, because sometimes it's not easy because of the fact, depends on the demand, because everyone is different. You can be helping someone, even when it comes to a stroke. Sometimes some people can have a stroke and they recover pretty much fully of where they were before to their baseline. Others close to their baseline, others far away from their baseline. And so the thing that helped me, and this one is another one, I'm going to say it was probably 50-50 when it came to being intentional about it. It was intentional, but the reason wasn't completely intentional. Being intentional about studying consciousness and studying yoga and studying Reiki and studying all of those things, that was intentional. In yoga, all of that was intentional, because during that particular time, especially after my stepdad had the heart attack, pretty much after that time I was already studying yoga in some form or fashion, but I extended to other things. And because I am a licensed clinical social worker, I wanted to learn different ways of how to help people. You see where I'm going? And I knew I wanted to do it in a different way, not always in therapy in and of itself. And so I was intentional about learning different things, but with all of those different things that I was learning, they ended up helping me. And so that helped me maintain and sustain my identity. Again, I was intentional about it, because I'm like, okay, I can't do all of this, what I intended to do. So let me just get all the education. And that was probably like 2-3 years of really diving deep at different modalities, wellness modalities, over a period of time. And all of those things help me. So what I would tell you, anything doing with self-care, personal development, self-development, diving into yourself, all of those things, it's not being selfish. Whether it's watching a YouTube video, whether it's listening to a podcast, whether it's reading or listening to a book, something, especially of what you're dealing with too. And as you continue to develop yourself, that's going to help you. Because who would have known that yoga was intentional? And let me tell you the story about the yoga. Yoga was intentional after a breakup. So that was the only thing that was more personal. But everything else was intentional, really for professional development purpose, but it ended up helping me. So think about this for yourself. What are you doing so that you can maintain and sustain your identity and personal passion? Because if not, then you can become detached, separated from your soul, even though you're doing a good thing. But this is where the renewing of the mind, meditate on the word day and night comes into play. You see where we're going? So I'm sharing all these things that have benefited me because I know it can benefit you or someone that you know. Because I cannot tell you, it is non-negotiable, it is essential, it is necessary for caregivers to care for yourself. And so, community care, get connected. That's going to help you, and you will be helping someone else as well. Take 5 to breathe, ideally 5 minutes. If not 5 seconds, but definitely 5 breaths. I say 5 breaths 5 times. And identify what you have learned about yourself through this caregiving journey. And if you have transitioned out of caregiving, share with others what you have learned, because it can benefit others. And lastly, find something that's going to help you to maintain and sustain your identity. Your identity is not in caring for others. It's a characteristics, but it's not primary. And along with your personal passion. Because as beings, our primary responsibility is to feed and fuel our spirit and soul. And when we don't, even with good intentions, we leave ourselves behind. So for those of you who want some support in reminding yourself, let me take 5. I've created a circle, Fortitude Free Circle, that helps entrepreneurs and executives and those who are over employee well-being to take 5. And to provide guidance and support, because sometimes it's so much that we need reminders to take care of ourselves. We need a nudge, we need a push. Sometimes we may even need to be challenged to do some hard things so that you can continue to be the caregiver, the loving caregiver that you are, without breaking down or without burnout. So for those of you who are interested in joining Fortitude Free Circle, comment circle so that you can get more information, or just come on and join. And if you want to contact me to come to your organization, DM me and we can set up a time so that we can explore of how I can help your organization's executives and employee well-being to not leave themselves behind while they're caring for others. So I will see you next time for the Caring for Caregivers series.